Welcome to the Mentors by Design podcast. In this show, Fine Design CEO Victor Kostrup brings ideas and inspiration through thought-provoking conversations with entrepreneurs and experts. Whether you're just getting started on your journey or are a seasoned business owner, this show is designed to give you insight into what it takes to succeed. Here's your host, Victor Kostrup.
Hey guys, Victor here, and it's another episode of Mentors by Design. We all have this idea in our heads about what success looks like, how it feels, what it means. But sometimes we get so caught up imagining this specific picture of what our lives and career are going to look like when we finally make it, that we ended up overlooking some of the truly important pieces of that journey. So today I invited one of my friends, Jay Tam, for the second time actually, to be a guest on my podcast so we could have an open and honest conversation about what is it really means to be a coach. Jamie, hi, how are you?
Hello, good, thank you. Thank you for having me back on the show.
I really appreciate having you because I'm simply enjoying. There is times you have to go to work and there is times you want to go to work. So today I want to go to work because it's just so much fun, because you making business sound like a plane. We're just like playing. That's how is it with you. So I appreciate your once again on the show. So, like people, and I shared that with you a lot. Me personally, I speak to a lot of youth conferences. And what amazed me, and I'll tell you, is seeing so many young people, there's such a great potential that we have. Like me personally, I have 3 amazing boys. And speaking of their education, you probably wouldn't find the parents who thought of their kids in education better than me and my wife did. So we want to send them to the best schools. We want to always to emphasize on their potential. We make sure they read the good books. We make sure that follow, good people, that they have plenty of faith on them for themselves. But times comes and you're 18 and you have no clue where to go. Or maybe you do have a clue, but you're just not sure if this is the right step. And I'm thinking what's stopping a lot of people to go after their dream is obviously unknown factor that creates fear of failure. And for some, risk of losing their comfort zone, even like for my kids, because they have a comfort zone being so that the family has reputation. And because of that, they feel significant. And he or she may hate their job, but it provides food on a table and roof over their head. Plus, they can afford few luxuries in life, including nice vacation. What advice you give to embrace risk-taking?
So we did a little bit of risk coaching on the last episode. So first of all, listen to that.
Yeah, I agree on that. Yes.
And the other thing is really the entrepreneurs that I've been very fond of have something interesting in common, and that is they have the ability to become obsessed and laser focused on what they want to do. That obsession you could also call passion. And in order to get to that point, I've seen people coax themselves into getting into that kind of passion, that kind of laser focus. It's such an interesting concept when you just physically, visually, and mentally surround yourself with that idea. And once you start doing that, there really is no room or time for fear. There's just no time for it. And I absolutely know that you've been in this situation, Victor, where you're so busy that the fear of something happening, totally, you didn't have time for it.
Right, right. Yeah, for me, if I go rewind many, many years, go back, and yeah, there was a comfort knowing that the job that I had and that guarantee me an income that pays for
Mhm.
my bills. But I absolutely hate it. I absolutely hate it. And there definitely was no passion in it, no obsession, especially.
Mhm.
So when I thought about the idea and I was overwhelmed by, and that dream I could feel like gives me the wings that now I can fly.
Mhm.
But it's usually what happens after the first challenge, because the first attempt you make and you expect you're going to have this kind of results. In other words, people will open the door for you, and then another door will gets open. Is just door does not open, another door does not open.
Yep.
And so it's really what you do after. It's really what you do after, because then the questions come to you. Is it doubts? Maybe it is.
Yep.
Maybe it's not for me. Maybe I'm fantasize myself too much, and based on that, I have that feeling like this is mine. But in reality, why am I suffering? Why am I get rejected?
Mhm.
So it's, especially for me, is like, it was, we're talking about the times when we had no internet and there was no cell phones. So in order for me to find a client, potential client, yeah, I literally went through yellow books, if you still remember those yellow books.
Yeah,
And
yellow pages.
so I have to have to locate the sporting committee, event directors for the sporting events.
Mhm.
How do I find them? So, for example, I take the sport of swimming and I look on the yellow pages for the swim pools. But
Mhm.
publicly, there is so many swim pools that people can go to. You call swim. So first, you call the location of the swimming pool, and you ask them whether they host any events. But the event could be like a fundraiser party or something. Oh yeah, and they give you a lead, and then you wasting
Mhm.
so much time finding that this is John, who you would never want to talk to. So there is a lot of time wasted, and you build up expectation. You're investing so much time. Finally, after doing so much research and putting so much work, you found a person. So it's a lot of. So when we're talking about passion, right? We just mentioned the word passion. Yes, I love to do that, but I just mentioned how much of the garbage work I had to go through
Absolutely.
to get to that.
Mhm.
And there is no that without this. It's, I wish it was, but it's not. I have to still carry this weight with me to call these different swimming pools and go through this public areas and go knock on some people's door only to hear this is our own door that I'm knocking to. So
Mhm.
all of that, it doesn't give me passion. It doesn't give me excitement. And then out of the hours and hours that I spent talking to wrong people, which I had to do, that's part of the research. Then finally, 5 minutes that I'm talking to the right person and rejects me immediately.
Mhm.
You cannot say, well, this is fun. I just had a great time.
Yep.
I was just rejected and I feel great. No, you're not. You are not. And so what do you do next day? And those doubts gets to you, and maybe after all, this is, first of all, there is no way you could build up, say, those expectations to feel this way. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I expected. Even if you are a very realistic person, still you think better of life. You still don't think that people going to behave themselves, they're going to treat you like this. There is no way they're going to treat me like this. I'm much better. They're going to treat me better, and only to find out that, especially, you are nobody. And as
Mhm.
soon as they ask you, so who you are? Oh, well, I'm a new startup. We're trying to establish ourselves, and I'm sure we're going to provide you the service that you're going to love, sir. Oh yeah, send me information or something. And they really don't pay attention to what you say next. and they don't hear you. They just want to hang up. So
Mhm.
all of that I'm describing, you cannot say, I love it. So
Correct.
it's you only pushing yourself, and you have to have a good reason to push yourself. And the next day after you get rejected, you have to have a good motivation. So now you are my coach. Back then I wouldn't be able to afford one.
Mhm.
But say, for example, my father was wealthy father, and he said, Victor, I'm going to get you a coach. His name is Jay Tam. And Jamie, you are next to me. What do you tell me?
So right now, you get up every day, you walk to your bathroom, you brush your teeth. You don't even think about walking, do you?
No, I don't.
Of course, you just do it. But that was a different story when you were a baby and you were trying to walk. You kept trying, you kept falling, you kept trying, you kept falling. Sometimes you probably got frustrated, you cried, fell asleep, got up, and you tried again. It's very much the same concept, is that you get turned down, that's falling. You get turned again, that's falling. You almost make it. You get onto your knees and you got onto one foot. And that was when somebody listened to you for an extra 5 seconds, and then you fell again. And during that time you were getting rejected, you were also practicing what to say, how to say it, what works, what doesn't work. And if you were in the right state of mind, as a coach, I would tell you to write everything down. What worked, what didn't work. And I want you to look over what worked every day and build on that list, because that list is your progress. And progress means you're getting closer to your goal. And that's what I want people to focus on, is not each failure, but the successes that came out of those failures. And by coaching you, I would make sure that you are heavily praised on what you have. So the next session, I would tell you, okay, read me off of the list that did work for you. Read me the sentences and the words that worked. And let's maybe even improve on that even more. And then you take only that and you make your next call and your next call. And we just keep on improving this until you are the absolute professional at presenting your company, your pitch, your idea to any kind of sports figure or sports event manager or event director. And
Wow. I just want to say, I wish I had you. It would have been different for sure. It would have
and
been different for
yeah,
sure.
and
Oh,
this is
man.
why this is exactly why I call it baby steps, is because that's exactly what it is, and that's exactly what's going to happen. And by rewarding somebody with their own self, their own reward is their own progress, that becomes your motivation.
Wow.
I remember when I was getting into coaching, I was not very good at cold call. It made me nervous.
Right.
I didn't like talking to strangers. So try to guess what I did. I went to a mortgage company that a friend owned, and I said, hey, can I cold call for you guys to see how many people I can get a yes from? And he
Uh-huh.
goes, yeah, of course. So I went into this room full of a whole bunch of people on these headsets and computers, and they're calling people. It's so loud in there. I have very bad hearing, so I could not hear the client on the phone. So I said, hey, do you have a different room I can use? They said, yeah, sure. So they moved me into a room with a loan officer in it, just him and I. And I got on this computer and I started doing my pitch. And at first I was stumbling over my words. I couldn't read what I needed to read. I didn't know the words by heart. And on top of that, we were calling veterans. You're talking about retired military veterans.
Oh, that's the biggest challenge.
These guys are
Yeah.
rough. They don't take any BS from anyone. They served our country. They've been through, literally have been through hell and back. And you're trying to cold call them for a mortgage or
Oh,
or
wow.
a refi. At the end of the day, I was so tired, but so confident in my pitch. And, they just said, just read it, just read it. Don't put your own words in there. Just read the dialogue. I said, fine, I'll do it. I'll do what you say.
So just read it means referring to scripture, right? To script.
It was a script. It
Yeah.
was a script. And by the end, of course, I started putting in, intonation and exaggeration and pinpointing the words that worked with the person. I'm pretty good at reading people, even on the phone or by voice. And so I was reading exactly what they said, but I would put pauses and emphasis on certain words. And I would over pause sometimes. So it would soak in, and then I would start talking again. And at the end of the day, also at the end of the call, your goal is to get their social security number.
Oh man.
From veterans. Yes.
Veterans. Wow.
And so at the end of the day, I believe I got 12 social security numbers. And so I come out, and all of the other guys in the other room came out. They're all smirking, going, "Oh, the owner brought this guy in. Let's see how well he did." And I don't know what a good number is. It was my first day there. I do not know what a big number is. And they said, they were all smiling. "Hey, how much did you do? How many social security numbers did you get?" I got 12. I made over 100 calls and I only got 12. And their faces just stopped and went down. And I go, "Is that bad?" And it sounded so scripted. And I go, "Well, how much did you do?" And I got 4. Oh yeah, wow. I got 8. I'm like, "Oh, whoa." And then the owner was just smiling behind me. He goes, "Man, you are something else." Wow. And this is all because I wanted to face my fear.
Yeah, you basically, there is a rule to embrace the challenge, and that's what you did. You put in yourself in the most difficult situation. Is it because you still believe in yourself? There's probably that belief in yourself and the willingness to go and through the most difficult challenge, as long as I can come out with a lesson, as long as I can come out with the knowledge and therefore confidence for that I needed to be successful.
Correct. It's still a success. Even if you don't come out with confidence, it's a success if you know what went wrong.
Right.
And this is where having a coach is so important, because your coach is going to help you see those positives, the errors that will make life easier the next time. But I do have a habit of putting myself in uncomfortable situations, because as a coach, when you ask somebody a question and they're dumbfounded, they just stare at you, and their brain, it just doesn't seem like it's going to kick in, and there's a really awkward silent pause. Those silent pauses is what I live for, because that's the exact moment your coachee is growing.
That's right. No, I could see that. I definitely could see that. That's why every lesson and every advice you give is so valuable.
Yep. Now, as you were saying, for entrepreneurs and the risk and that uncomfortability, what really is important about this situation is to pretty much try to get the right tools. And this could be mental, this could be technology, this could be any of the above, but you want to get the right tools. You want to know what the right tools are, and you want to know how to get those tools. Now, that could be training your mind. It could be training your speech. There's infinite possibilities of it, but you have to have the mindset of figuring out failures are tools. You can get tools from those failures.
Or for example, like when we do the cold call, and when you say cold call and referring to or in my business, trying to negotiate a deal, the tools we're referring to, it could be, what are the needs of my client, right?
Yes.
So I don't go off the target. So I don't go off the target all the time. Yep. I do have to know the needs of my client.
The right questions are also the right tools.
Right.
It was one of the best coaches on the planet is Tony Robbins.
Right.
And he calls himself the why guy. And that's because he asks so many questions. If I ask you a question, "Well, Victor, why do you like your product so much?" And you give me an answer, I'm selling you on your own product.
That's
And I
right.
can do that
And
with
it's
my
easy
own
for me
product.
to do that because
Of
I truly
course.
love my product.
Right. And then if I have a product for you and I ask you, well, what are you looking for in a product? What do you like about the product? Do you have a product like it? What don't you like about it? What would you change about it? And all I'm doing is asking you questions, but I'm actually making sure that you're selling yourself, right? You're
Right.
selling yourself on my product because I'm just asking your questions. And it's basically a client-based approach. And I know you know all this. At the same time, by me asking the right questions the right way, I'm sharpening my tools. I'm sharpening my knives. I'm sharpening, my skills so that when I do ask the question, I'm going to ask you a most profound question that will lock in your mind to a product that you did not know existed. And honestly, neither did I.
I
But
see.
that's because if you have the right tools, and these tools, the word tools is a very broad
Yeah,
definition.
that's right. That's right. That's why I want to emphasize like the needs of the client because like you said, it's a very broad.
Exactly. Exactly. And having a coach and mentor, they will either find what those tools are, or a mentor will know what those tools are. And I mean, that's why, mentors and coaches are just such an asset to your business and your success. And one other thing, as much as you think you could be your own coach, absolutely not. Because even a coach needs a coach. I
Oh,
always
that's a
say
good
this.
one. That's a good one.
Even a coach needs a coach.
Yeah.
You might have a great mentality to do it. That being said, if there's nobody to push you even further than you thought you could go, no, even a coach needs a coach.
Yeah. Well, secretly, I always like to read biographies and the books of biography because in a sense that's like a coaching because
Absolutely.
just like I read the two of my last books, Domino's Pizza founder and Nike's founder, and those guys, I received so much advice and they were exactly sharpening my skills. So I completely agree. By the way, people who are listening to us, I mentioned about my business, and I want to just say this is Fine Designs, and we're doing event merchandise on site at the sporting events, and our company does over 100 events each weekend. It started only with one, and do you know how much time, Jimmy, took us to book only one first event? And I'm speaking of that experience that I went to. There
Yep.
was many rejection. It took us 6 months of a lot of cold calling, just like because I can relate to your cold calling, and I
Yeah.
can relate to the fear, and I can relate to start reading people, start understanding. Without understanding people, without understanding their needs, you're pretty much selfish. You're just selfish. You think of yourself and you're pushing your agenda without thinking what are for them. So for me, the breaking moment was when I got kind of like revelation inside of me, and that went through so much suffering, and that I said I don't want to be rejected anymore, so I have to really decide whether this is I go forward or I have to admit this is not mine. Even after 6 months spending all of my investment and in everything, telling people this is it, this is my dream, and I have to admit I was wrong. So either I have to admit I'm wrong or I move forward. And that's what I got revelation. Victor, you are a selfish person. Because yes, you do think that your fridge is empty and you have no money to pay for your bills and nothing, but people should not be compassionate. This is not why you call in. So they feel compassion. That's why they will hire you, even though you offering a much higher percentage than anybody else, because you want to bid up your competition. But this is not why you do the business. You do business because you really think of the client and you believe that you can add the quality to their event, specifically sporting event. And that's how it started with the first event. And today, after 27 years, we're 28 years in business, thank God, almost 30 years now, we are doing 150 events in average per weekend all over the United States, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, because we have amazing team of people. And speaking of them, I really want to bring you to our team because I could see how much you will be helpful for my team, because a lot of them, they go through so much in their professional life, in their personal life. And that's what I want to do. As we are just talking, I'm thinking, wow, Jimmy has so much wisdom that I wish my people could hear it. So we're about to finish this episode. Unfortunately, our time is almost over. If you could give one more advice, I want to ask you quickly, because yes, there is people who have the dream and they want to go after, but there is people who are so sure where they are, this is where they want to be, but they just cannot stand their boss. What could you tell someone if they have a difficult boss? How they should handle the situation?
Victor, have you ever heard the term, if you can't beat them, join them?
I heard that, yes.
So I've had difficult bosses before. I've always respected my bosses, my elders, parents. I've always had that respect. I would say that's probably the Japanese upbringing that I had with my parents.
Probably.
Something that I've learned to do with difficult bosses is it's that question, right? I always go back to questions. And my question is, why are you the way you are?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can be kind of negative in this, like, why are you so mean? Or why are you so micromanaging? Or why? But my solution to this is actually ask questions to find out what makes them tick.
I see.
Like, how did you get to where you are? How did you get to this level of success? And
genuinely interested in that.
Really, you have to be genuinely interested. I never ask a question I'm not actually curious about. I don't do it just for the sake of, oh, I want to join them. No, I really do want to. If it's a horrible boss, but somehow they got to that position, you have to have some kind of respect for that. Some people
right.
don't, but you should. Otherwise, you might get into more trouble than not if you don't respect your boss. But ask them, hey, what do you attribute your success to? You made it this far in the company. You lead a team of so many people. And I'm really curious about what your mentality is and how you got there. What do you do when you have a tough decision to make? And when you start asking these questions, you start learning about the person. And you're also, in a way, forcing them to tell you how they work and what their thinking is. And if you understand their thinking, then sometimes you have a better understanding of them and you have an understanding of why they are the way they are. Like, I found out that one of my bosses on a disc profile he was direct. And me, I'm this cheerful person that's like, oh, how was your day? How is your daughter doing? He doesn't have time for that because his mind and the way he communicates with people is direct.
Right.
And I was like, oh, so I walk in and go, hey, this needs to be done, right? Yes. Oh, he loved me.
I see.
Loved me because I wasn't asking him how his day was.
Straight
I was
to the
like,
point.
business, right? And I labeled him business. Every time I saw his face, the word business came up in big, bold writing. And that's how I approached him from then on. And I earned his respect as his employee.
Both ways.
Because
you think have to respect him, but it's important to earn that he respects you as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, I could relate to that. And recently I also shared the similar advice that I gave to one of the former employee who worked for our company for a long time, and then because she had to move, she started working for another big corporation. And she said, I know how to work for a company, Fine Designs, what an awesome atmosphere we have. And, she gave some compliments to me, and she knows how to work with me. Personally, even though I don't come to work as I used to, because company's been delegated to all of the regional directors, franchisees. So, but anyway, there was times, but today I'm happily give advice, consult, and that's what I did. So similar situation. And I said, find the reason to respect him. Think of that. And then the time when you actually deal with yourself, don't let yourself become bitter. Don't let yourself to feel offended, but find a reason to feel a little bit respect for this person, just like for the reason that you just mentioned. And then next time, not when he is fired up, but when he is fine, when he is calm, and ask for 5 minutes of his time and say, I love my job and I wish I can always come to this job with idea that I want to add to this business, because I do care for your business and I want to feel that same way day to day. But I'm telling you, for the last month or so, it's been difficult. And I just want to say that if you have a crazy day, and I'm sure you have some of your challenges, I'm here. Just share with me. I would be willing to listen to you. I would love to listen to you. But I want to tell you that we're your employees. We're here for you. We're here for you. But at the same time, I want you to remember, I'm not a garbage bag that you can just throw everything to it. I'm not. So that's shortly. And she called me like 2 weeks later and she said, Victor, you won't believe it. It's not only that he changed to me, he changed to everybody else.
Yep.
He started treating with respect and the whole atmosphere
Fantastic.
has changed. Anyway, Jamie, we have to finish. Our time is up. I just want to remind everybody, we are part of the Mission Matters. You can find us missionmatters.com. There is a huge library. And there is so many podcasts by Adam Torres. He is my leader. He is the first one who is the founder of Mission Matters.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Mentors by Design podcast. This show is sponsored by Fine Designs. Learn more about how Fine Designs can supply apparel for your events at finedesigns.com.